Right, what's up, Dragon Brood? We're on day 3 of previews for Edge of Eternities. I almost got the set name. But yeah, let's just hop into it, talk about some cards, because it looks like we have about the same as yesterday. So we're starting with Famished World, Sire. It is 5 and 3 green, so 5 green, green, green. So 8 mana. This is a lot. It's Leviathan. It has Ward 3, which is great, because it protects itself, which is awesome. Devour Land 3. As this creature enters, you may sacrifice any number of lands. It enters with 3 times that many +1/+1 counters on it. Wow. When this creature enters, look at the top X card your library, where X is this creature's power. Put any number of land cards from them on the battlefield, tapped, then shuffle. Woo. This has a lot going on. Okay, so it enters the battlefield. You can devour any number of lands, but you get 3 times that many counters. So let's say you have, I don't know, you find a way to ramp this into play and you have like 4 or 5 lands out, right? Let's say 4. So you sack all 4 lands potentially to get a 12/12, and then you look at your top 12 cards and you put that many lands onto the battlefield, or actually any lands. Yeah, that you see onto the battlefield. This is a wild card because you almost always are incentivized, assuming the number's like 4+, right? It's probably going to be 5+. You're almost incentivized to just go for it. Just sack your land. Because, I mean, in 15 cards, are you not going to find at least 5 land? I mean, sure, weird things happen. But realistically, you'll hit your number. So, like, yeah, this is a crazy card. You actually, in many cases, can end up with more land than you started with and still have, like, a 15/15 creature or something. This thing's a crazy ramp card. I mean, I just put up a deck today that had Kona in it, and I would consider playing this. The only downside to this, realistically, like, obviously it's good if you have anything that has landfall, whatever, but the real downside to here is that there's no evasion on this card. It doesn't trample, it doesn't have menace, so even though you have, say, like a 15/15, it can just be blocked by any 1/1. All right, next up we have Apherel. How do you even... Apherel is probably how that is, but Stone Chosen. I don't know. 3 black. It's a 3/3. Oh, so this better be really good. It's a legendary human cleric. Ward of discard a card at random. That's actually kind of cool. And then it has Void. Whenever this attacks, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn, or spell was warped this turn, defending player loses half their life rounded up. So if you warp something, then attack, your opponent loses half their life rounded up. I mean, this is a little weird because we already have... I mean, I don't know why. First off, Wizards, why do we keep making this a thing for black? We don't need a bunch of stuff that's lose half your life. Like, we already have enough of those cards. It's weird to have a bunch of them. That said, we already have stuff that you lose double damage, you lose half your life. We have enchantments that do it. We have a creature that does it. We have the vampire that can combo, because if your opponent loses life, you gain life, whatever. That can be a whole thing. I don't know if we're playing this for 5 mana. Like, maybe it's possible, but 5 mana feels like a lot for a 3/3, when for 4 mana, you can have, like, the 2/4 Aklazot's demon thing, and that kind of facilitates the same strategy. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not excited by this card. It looks neat on paper and it has the right words, but I don't think we're going to play a lot of this one. This is Bioengineered Future. It is 1 green for an enchantment that when it enters, you create a lander token, and that's a token you can pay 2 life, tap it, sacrifice, search for a basic, it enters tapped. Each creature you control enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each land that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. Oh, so this is... You want to play your lands first, and then your creatures get counters. I don't know. Like, this feels like it's in here for a very specific reason. Because the landfall decks don't really want this, because they want to play the lands after the creatures are out so they can get the counters. Though, I guess if it's a creature that didn't immediately have landfall, you don't care that you played it after you played the land. But then again, those decks wouldn't want to play this anyway because they don't want an enchantment gumming up the works. Huh. Yeah, I don't know what to think about this card. For each land that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. I mean, I'm sure there's something we can do with this, just something I'm not obviously thinking of. But it's a low cost enough that it's probably worth experimenting with. Though, let me say this, it does actually count if you have lander tokens. So if you have a bunch of stuff that's just creating lander tokens, then every turn you're getting to put +1+ on things. So that could be worth it. Umblar Zealots. It's 1 and a black for a 3/2. Human cleric, sacrifice another creature or artifact, and you surveil 1. Yeah, that's playable. A 2-mana 3/2 that you can just surveil, chump things off that are gonna block and die anyway. Like, yeah, I'm okay with this card. It also is another card that can fit the raise the pass type decks, right? It's good for those. Yeah, this will probably find its way into a couple of decks. It's just a good little utility body. The Dominion Bracelet. 2 for an legendary equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has, geez, does that pay 15? And exile the bracelet. You control target opponent during the next turn. This ability costs X less to activate, where X is this creature's power. Activate only as a sorcery. It has equip cost of 1. There's that. Okay, the good and the bad of this card. 1, you can play it on like a, I don't know, 6/6, 7/7, something like that, and pay a somewhat reasonable price to take the opponent's turn. The other part of that for me is, in any game I've worked on, any game I've played, any game I've run events for, we've hosted, whatever, players don't like losing their turn. Like, either you getting another turn or you taking their turn is always bad. So I hate this type of card design. That aside, is the card actually playable? Technically, yes, but the reality is like 15 is so much. It really is. And the only way to reduce it is by the cost of the thing that it's actually on. And then it's a one-shot use. So you kind of need it to do the thing to win that turn. It's not like you could repeat it or whatever. Because you actually exile this, it doesn't even go to the graveyard. So yeah, I think while this looks really neat and has powerful words on it, I don't think we're going to be playing this. Oh, a Null is in the set. Counter target artifact or instant spell for 1 blue. Sure. Blue mana to counter an artifact or enchantment's been good, especially in a set with a bunch of spacecraft. Seems reasonable. Galvanizing Saw Ship. Like, that's such a crazy visual. It's a ship with 2 big-ass spinner blades on it while it's just riding through space. That's crazy. But anyway, it's 5 and a red for a 6/5 spacecraft. It has station of 3+. It has flying and haste. You know what? The cost is kind of crazy. It's 6 mana, so we're probably not going to play it for that reason. But if for some reason there's something in the set that say like makes spacecraft cost 2 less or some such, plus, 3 station counters is not difficult. That's pretty much 1 creature in a lot of cases. And then this thing's just swinging in for 6 when you play it. So yeah, if there's reasonable stuff that reduces costs, this is probably playable. If there's not, we're not going to play this. Ruinous Rampage. 1 red for a sorcery that lets you choose 1. It either deals 3 damage to an opponent, exile all artifacts with... What was that I just said? Exile all artifacts with mana value 3 or less. Yeah, this is useful. I don't know if we're main decking this, but there is a world where in best of 1, if we end up seeing a bunch of decks with lander tokens or a bunch of small low to the ground, say like vehicle type decks, then like sure, exile all artifacts with mana value 3 or less is actually reasonable. Deal 3 damage to opponent, that's just like a late game bonus in a lot of cases. So yeah, not exciting, but depending on how the meta goes, this is a playable card. Okay, Scout for Survivors. 2 and a white. It's a sorcery. Return up to 3 target creature cards with total mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of them. So this is actually slightly worse than the one from Bloomburrow, where you could return up to 2 things that cost 2 mana each, I believe. Up to 2 mana each. If I'm not mistaken, it's like power or cost 2 or less for 2 things. This, however, gives you the option of up to 3 things. Technically, if they all cost 1. But you could get also a 1 and a 2. Or you can just get 1 3-mana thing back. And regardless of the number you get back, whatever creature you get, all get +1/+1 counters. This is comparable to the other card, just has a different purpose. Not sure how much I like it, but if I was playing a +1/+1 counters deck already, one or two of these in the list isn't bad to just get a creature back. It's bigger, you can keep fighting. Maybe you get multiple creatures. There's some use for this card for sure. Possibility Technician, 2 and a red for a 3/3 Kavu Artificer. Well, more Artificers in the set for sure. Whenever this creature or another Kavu you control enters, exile the top card of your library. For as long as that card remains exiled, you may play it if you control a Kavu. This has Warp, 1 and a red for a 3/3. So this card's pretty solid. Interesting that we get a rare Kavu here, but a 3 mana 3/3 that exiles a card, because when this or another Kavu enters, and then you just get access to the extra card, even if this dies, as long as you control a Kavu. I'm kind of here for it. I think this card could be played. Now, admittedly, we have to see all the Kavu that you want to be able to play, but we saw a really good one yesterday, the 2 mana one, so if there's even like 4 solid ones, you might be able to build a deck around this. Interceptor Macan, 2, red, black, for a 2/2 robot with flying. When this creature enters, return target artifact or creature card from your graveyard to your hand. It also has Void at the beginning of your end step if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn, or a spell was warped this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. 4 mana for a 2/2 is pretty tough to invest in, really, in current standard, but the upsides are pretty strong. You return a card from your graveyard to your hand, and effectively, if anything dies or whatever, at the end step, you get to put a +1/+1 on this card. I'm not going to say it's unplayable, because it's also a robot that might matter for stuff. It's an artifact creature that might matter for stuff. So it's really going to be like format and dependent on what the rest of the set includes. But this is on the border of potentially playable, just because of all the things you're getting from it for 4 mana. Fell Grav Ship, 3 mana, 3/2. When it enters, mill 3 cards, then return a creature or spacecraft card from your graveyard to your hand. It has station of 8+, and it has flying and lifelink. Ooh, this is an interesting one, right? Let's say we're playing something like the green deck that wants to mill itself and play stuff out of the graveyard or whatever, right? A lot of the times, those decks have a bunch of small creatures it doesn't even want to attack with. So if you were to use those to turn this into an actual spacecraft, then maybe that could be a viable card in there. It does also mill 3 and let you return something, which is nice. Insidious Roots is a card I was thinking of. But yeah, this is probably at least borderline playable. 8 feels like a lot to just get a 3/2, but it does have the upside of milling you and then giving you your pick of a creature or a spacecraft. Heoyic Might, 1 green, just a green mana for a 1/1. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, another target creature you control gets +X/+X while end of turn, where X is this creature's power. Generally, cards like this just don't ever get played. Like, do a thing with this to pump something else. Like, often it's just not a thing. So, yeah, this is a weird looking piece of art too. I'm not 100% sure of even what I'm looking at, but it's all good. It's neat, but I don't think we're going to play with this. Pain for All, 2 and a red, enchant creature you control. When this aura enters, enchanted creature deals damage equal to its power to any other target. Whenever enchanted creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to each opponent. Well, here's the thing. We have another target to go along with Barb Servitor and whatever, Screaming Nemesis, if you want to hit this with your big Dawn Sire for 100 points or whatever. In general, though, this effectively lets you deal damage directly to an opponent, or to any target, actually, and turns a creature into a Screaming Nemesis, basically, right? Whenever this creature is dealt damage, deal that much to each opponent. Yeah, I think this is fine. This is at least somewhat playable, right? If nothing else, it's going to deal very likely 1 to 3 damage for your 3 mana, and then also make it where your opponent doesn't want to attack into something. So yeah, this is fine. This is playable. It's not crazy good, because you obviously still need a creature to put it on and all that good stuff, but it's viable. Plasma Bolt, deal 2 damage to any target as a sorcery for 1 red. Plasma Bolt deals 3 damage instead of... Oh, instead, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn. Yeah, this probably gets a little bit of play. Probably not a ton, but enough that you can justify 2 to anything at sorcery speed that could also be 3 mana sometimes. Like, nothing wrong with that. I gotta ask now, though, who's starting to get excited about this set? Because I'm starting to see pieces coming together. I still haven't seen quite enough to justify Station yet. Like, it's doable, but we haven't seen quite enough pieces to maybe make that worthwhile. But otherwise, everything else is starting to come together. There's some cool theme stuff. We've stuff to do with artifacts. We're seeing a lot of things with robots. There's things from the last set that cared about artificers. So we're starting to find a lot of different pieces here, which has me pretty excited. But y'all let me know. I'm going to go ahead and link yesterday's video just so you can get caught up in case you missed it on the other previews. Otherwise, that's all I have for now. We'll see you next time.